watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com.
Well, good Friday afternoon, folks. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages here with meteorologist Hunter Forrest, our ongoing team weather coverage for our weather alert day that we are in the window of right now for a tornado threat from the outermost fringes of Helene that at this hour has weakened dramatically down to a tropical depression.
Yeah, it certainly has. And we're starting to see those outer bands really starting to make their way into our area. And they've had a history of producing tornado warnings. So certainly something we're going to have to continue to monitor.
Yeah, we were watching live radar earlier, and there was actually a confirmed tornado down to our southwest along the I-95 corridor, just outside of Roanoke Rapids, just to the south of there. So here's our threat, a tornado threat predominantly from now until 8 o'clock this evening. Spin-up tornadoes are a threat, especially the farther south and west you go. On top of that, the outer bands do have some tropical downpours with them as the outer bands of Helene, again, works its way on through our area. You've been seeing on the bottom of your screen, if you've been tuning in on air on ABC on 13 News Now, a tornado watch that is active for a good chunk of the area, excluding Gloucester and Matthews and the Eastern Shore until later on this evening at 6 p.m. Again, the greatest threat will be down to the south. Now, for days, we've been talking about the potential of there being a tornadic threat with this. Severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center has had us up to a level 2 threat out of 5 right on through this evening. We've just got the favorable dynamics that are in place, the spin in the atmosphere, the presence of wind shear that makes it just a little bit easier to spin up a tornado or two that are usually brief and short-lived and very quick moving as well. And they're very elusive too. They'll pop up quickly and then be gone just as fast. So here's the big picture. Tropical Depression Helene now, just a shell of what it was 18 hours ago when it made landfall just after 11 o'clock last night as a bona fide Category 4 major hurricane. In fact, strongest hurricane to ever hit that part of Florida since records have been kept. It has been cruising to the north. You see the forward speed on this at 28 miles per hour. Right now, packing only winds of 35 miles per hour at landfall. Those winds were at 140. But the outermost bands have been wreaking havoc everywhere to the east on the dirty side of this storm. And Hunter, we've had numerous reports of storm damage and even a few tornado threats in there as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Helene didn't stop creating damage down in Florida. We have storm reports all the way up through Georgia into parts of Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, up towards Virginia as well. And there are just tons of different reports. We had terrible storm surge in the Big Bend of Florida, even along the west coast of Florida down towards Tampa. They saw record storm surge up to 8 feet. And as you zoom up over towards Georgia, a lot of flood storm reports there, and even down towards portions of western North Carolina, especially in areas in Asheville, where there have seen record rain reports over the last 24 hours, which has led to record high rivers and streams, which is leading to extreme rain totals over the last 24 hours. You can see close to 15 inches of rain has fallen just to the north of Greenville, almost a foot just to the east of Asheville, down to the south of Boone, almost 14 inches of rain within the last 24 hours. This has led to devastating flooding in this portion of the area. And even though Helene was a tropical storm and now a tropical depression, as it got closer to the area, it still wreaked havoc on this area, bringing them tremendous amounts of rain. And the storm reports don't stop there. Even over towards areas of eastern North Carolina, we had this tornado report just to the south of Albertson. And we also had a confirmed tornado near Rocky Mount, which is still continuing to make its way up towards the Roanoke Rapids area. So again, we've had a lot of storm reports over the last 24 hours, and we're going to continue to see these lines of storms making their way into our area as we go throughout the evening, and again, have the potential to produce these spin-up tornadoes.
Yeah, Hunter, this has been a very unique situation with the landfall of Helene as it moved inland very quickly. All of that moisture streamed north and banked up against the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, and eventually farther to the north, the Blue Ridge Mountains. And that's helping the atmosphere, the air to rise and condense and just rain out that tropical moisture, which has led to those prolific rainfall totals so far and the ongoing flash flood emergencies in areas in North Georgia and western portions of the Carolinas. And unfortunately, that will continue for a little while longer. Let's talk about why the outermost bands present the risk for some tornadoes. And we see this every time we have a landfalling tropical system. Now, we get the strongest of the winds that are very concentrated closer to the center at landfall. Once those winds interact with land, the surface winds begin to slow down dramatically because they interact with land. The frictional component slows down those winds. However, that doesn't occur to the winds aloft. So we have the change in wind speed and direction with height, something we call wind shear. And you're going to find that most prominent on the eastern side or even northeastern side, northeastern quadrant of the landfalling system, like we are in currently right now. And Hunter and I were talking earlier about this very interesting research report I was reading about tornado-based or tornadoes that are spawned from tropical systems that make landfall. And the biggest threat for tornadoes in those landfalling systems is the outermost band. And that's currently what we're watching progress through central North Carolina and up into Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. Now, the threat for tornadoes, them being on the weaker side of things, we're talking EF0 to EF1, 90% of tornadoes that occur during tropical systems are that. But I don't need to tell you, if you're watching and you've been living here for a while, you go back to 2020 with landfalling Isaias. That moved up in almost the same general direction up along I-95, and that spawned an EF3 in Windsor, North Carolina, that took the lives of several folks in a mobile home. So you got to keep that in mind here, that even though 90% are rather not very strong, there are some 10% chance that they are a little bit stronger than that. All depends on the area they form and the dynamics that are currently in place. Let's do some live analysis of what's going on radar currently, because the action is knocking on our door just to the west and southwest, where we do have a few active warnings. We've been watching this one here out in the Roanoke Rapids area, just lifting north of Rocky Mount, where there was that confirmed tornado, at least that hash from the National Weather Service. We still have an ongoing tornado warning here, and we put the numbers on it near Halifax and south of Roanoke Rapids. This is until 2:30, so another 12 minutes there. And if we kind of log into what the radar site in Wakefield is depicting here in terms of our velocity wind signatures, and if we do have a couplet, we do. Right in this area over Halifax, it is kind of broad and stretched out a little bit. I don't see it really confined and pitching on off, but that's what they're watching. The storm itself is rotating, and that's what we will find with many of these cells, these discrete cells that are rotating overall because of the wind shear that is present, like we talked about. And it's just if the updrafts and downdrafts are strong enough to take that wind shear, straighten it out, and bring it down to the surface as a tornado. So that could be potentially what's happening here in the Halifax area. Again, this is the same cell that there was a confirmed tornado on just to the south coming out of Rocky Mount. Aside from that, rest of the radar site is showing just a lot of heavy rain. We do have thunder and lightning, and notice to the south of Rocky Mount, south and southeast, we do have this very large severe thunderstorm warning right now. And if you look closely, it does have a red outline to it. And that is a tag the Weather Service puts on for a tornado being possible. And if you remember back to Debbie that made landfall, and we had a similar situation, we were on the eastern side, the dirty side, the tornadic threat was present then as well. We had numerous of these severe thunderstorm warnings with this tag that even though the cell is spinning, we don't see anything right now that could put down a tornado, but it's certainly a possibility with the overall background state that's currently in place. So this warning here, again, outside of our viewing area here in northeastern North Carolina and Hampton Roads, is until 3:15. But as we wind out the shot, all of this is slowly moving east, and it's pushing out of the south, almost due north as well. So that is going to present the risk as well with the overall frictional component with land and the wind speeds that are aloft too. So we're going to continue to watch that. But out to the northeast of it right now, Hunter, we just got some rain showers out there right now. It is warm. It is very humid. Tropical air masses in place at this time. And we'll see how this plays out in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the good news is here, we're not expected to see, a ton of rain like the other areas have been seeing throughout the area down in eastern North Carolina or western North Carolina. Here, we're only expected to see, a half an inch to maybe an inch in some areas, maybe isolated higher amounts if you do get caught under those torrential downpours. But again, the main threat here for our area are those spin-up tornadoes. And I mean, the good thing is what Tim was saying earlier, is that when you do have these spin-up tornadoes in these bands, they're normally very weak. About 90% of them is EF0 to an EF1. But again, you do have that chance to see those stronger tornadoes with these outer rain bands. And again, you could see a tornado warning put out for your area, but it could also be the spin. It could be so quick, could come down to the ground in a minute, and then 2 minutes later, it's back up, and you may not see anything. And that's the other thing. A lot of these tornadoes that if they do reach the ground could be rain wrapped. So even if you wanted to go out and see it, the chances of seeing it is very minimal because it's going to be rain wrapped. You're not going to know where it is. So that's also another danger to these types of spin up tornadoes. And even if they do go back up into the atmosphere, they could spin back down super quickly, just up and down throughout the entire duration of the tornado warning. That's why these types of spin-up tornadoes are super, super hard to kind of predict at sometimes. And that's why you have to treat every tornado warning and even the tag when those severe thunderstorm warnings have the tornado possible tag, that a tornado warning could be issued really at any second with those types of tags.
Yeah, Hunter, I'm really glad you brought that up, that these types of tornadic threats are very hard to forecast because they're so quick. A lot of forecasters like to call these elusive tornadoes because you try to pinpoint where you're seeing the pinch off of some spin, and they pop up very quickly and then they're gone. Hunter, while you were talking, we actually have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. I want to show you this on big screen right now because it is a very large severe thunderstorm warning, and we typically see this, and this is for this band that is right on through here. We'll put a timing on it for you to give you a general feel of when the track is and where it's going, the storm motion really. So I think it's moving around 40 to 50 miles per hour. The squall line here that did spawn that tornado warning that's currently still up near the Halifax area. But this is all lifting off to the north right now. If I can get this to work, we'll see this move off to the north at around 50 miles per hour. So some of these areas that may be under the gun, Druryville at 243, Franklin at 255, Windsor at 312, and Suffolk around 3:15. So a lot of lead time on this right now. It's still well off to our south and west, but look at the size of the warning. And what we were talking about earlier, how it has that outline of the red indicating that a tornado is possible. That is within this area here. So it does include counties like Bertie, Greensville, Hertford, Northampton, Southampton, and Sussex, and the city of Emporia along the I-95 corridor until 3 o'clock. So you got 37 minutes of this warning on there, and there is the potential. In fact, you look in that polygon, there is an active tornado warning that is just outside of Northampton in North Carolina right now. So we're watching this carefully. There certainly is some spin. In fact, let's check out if there is any spin that we can pinpoint here. We definitely have a few couplets out there well to the east of I-95 now. One here near Scotland Neck, another one just to the west of Rich Square. Nothing that is really consolidating and likely going to prompt a tornado warning, at least immediately, but certainly something to watch here. over the next couple of hours. Again, this is all outside of our 13 News Now viewing area at this time. But look at the size of this warning here. It stretches from Emporia all the way south to New Bern. I mean, these are two separate warnings, but they cover a huge area as this whole cell and the squall line really lifts to the north. And this is part of the outermost band of Helene at this time. And you see back behind it, because it's moving pretty slowly to the east, but there is a south to north movement on this. We're having the training effect on a lot of these. So this is causing flash flood warnings. You see it off to the west there along Rocky Mount, out to Raleigh, I-40, I-85, all seeing a lot of very heavy rain. And eventually we'll see that pivot into our area as it lifts off to the north and east rather slowly. Some good news is as we approach later afternoon, I mean, we still have a lot of time between now and then. We'll likely see the tornadic threat decrease dramatically as we approach sunset, but it's 2:25. We've got a lot of time, and if we see any breaks in that cloud deck, which in fact, let's see if we do have any breaks. We take a look at visible satellite imagery here, and it's been a pretty thick cloud deck all morning long, and that does help to cap the atmosphere from producing at least very strong convective thunderstorms. But, you know, we do have the wind shear that's present, and that's been taken advantage of. Let's talk about what it may look like here on Futurecast, our high-resolution model here. We call this the HRRR, high-resolution rapid refresh, and this gets updated every hour, so it's always pretty fresh data. A pretty good initialization here on this most recent run, showing it at 2 o'clock. So it's about 25 minutes old, but it does show a good indication of where things are currently. Here's how it plays out going forward. Jump ahead 60 minutes from now. And we do have a few cells, at least according to this Futurecast modeling, that would be a little bit suspicious for some tornadic activity. This is along and just to the west of I-95 at that point in time. But notice the cells do spread west, or excuse me, spread east towards Hampton Roads, northeastern North Carolina. I will say that this most recent run has backed off of widespread storms, which is good news. We'll see if this is a trend with the next hourly update. But definitely a cell right over Elizabeth City, potentially right at the evening commute. And it is entirely possible that this verifies north of there and is over south side and the metro area right during that evening commute. Then notice the trend here. By 7 o'clock, by sunset, we see the majority of it lift to the north and offshore, and our threat will dramatically go down. So it's really up until the next few hours. We set our window for opportunity open around lunchtime, and will last through around 8 o'clock, our weather alert day status, and that looks to hold pretty good here. What are our main threats? Well, we've got the wind gusts in some of these cells, and of course the tornado threat. And that's really it. I'm not overly concerned at all with any hail. Street flooding, a possibility in the vulnerable areas if we get those training downpours over areas for a prolonged period of time, as we've seen off to the west. But even that's a threat lower than the tornado and damaging wind threat right now. Hunter, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the main threat today is definitely going to be those tornadoes, those quick spin-up tornadoes. A lot of these lines have been producing those tornado warnings. Now, the good news is when we looked back at those storm reports, a lot of these tornado warnings weren't necessarily confirmed, which is good news. But again, we did have that confirmed tornado right near Rocky Mount when that tornado warning was continuing to push up towards the Roanoke Rapids area, which is what we saw earlier. And again, that severe thunderstorm warning that had the tornado possible tag. So again, so many of these storms have the possibility to create these spin-up tornadoes. When we were looking just back at the future radar and you saw those storms moving over the south side, you saw them moving over portions of Elizabeth City, portions of Eastern Shore, even the peninsula, every individual one of those cells had the opportunity or may have the opportunity to have one of these tornadoes embedded in those individual storms. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. And when you see the future radar, doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly where the storm's going to be at that specific time, which is what Tim was saying earlier. But it does give you a great indication on when these storms are going to continue to make their way through the area, when they're going to leave, and how long we're really going to be seeing these heavier downpours and the chance to see this threat. And again, this threat is coming at a pretty serious time. You know, a lot of people are leaving work between 4, 5, 6 o'clock, and that's when we're starting to see these storms making their way into the area while people are getting ready to go home and make dinner and do what they have to do when they're on the Thursday evening. So again, it's coming at a pretty serious time when people are super busy, and that's why it's always super important to stay informed on weather alert days like this, because again, these storms have the possibility to create such a quick spin-up tornado in a blink of an eye, and they could go right back up just as quickly as they come down. So again, that's why we were saying earlier, it's super, super hard to predict. But again, you have to treat every single warning you see, even a severe thunderstorm warning that you see, like there is the possibility to see a tornado.
Yeah, that's great advice, Hunter. And I want to revisit the severe thunderstorm warning that we have up for our far western zones, the closer you get to I-95. Let's show it to you here. I put a tracker on it for you, and I want to read the verbiage from the National Weather Service. By the way, this squall line here is moving at 35 miles per hour off to the north and east. So look at the cities and towns that are under the gun here. Hosky at 242, Franklin 310, and Windsor coming up in about an hour from now. So you got a pretty good amount of lead time. But Weather Service calling that the main hazard for this line right now is 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which is certainly strong enough to cause some damage to trees and power lines. You see the bright shadings on radar imagery there. That is extremely heavy rainfall. We're talking about the remnants of a tropical system. So we have the rainfall rates that probably are approaching inch and a half that could easily lead to some street ponding and street flooding in those areas that are currently seeing it. Now, I also want to bring to light here that you see the outline of this warning. The polygon, we call it. You see the yellow outline that's very large, but it also has a red border to it. And that is a tag from the Weather Service that there is the possibility that this does produce a tornado. Within that squall line, there could be some winds that pinch off and become consolidated to cause some spin. Will that spin make it all the way down to the surface? Hard to tell. And as we've been talking about, Hunter and I earlier, that it's very, very hard to forecast where within that squall line a tornado may form, which is why that polygon is so large. It covers such a large area, and they put that tag on it for the possibility or the potential of a tornado within it. Let me take that off there now and put this into motion for you to give you a feel of where it's moving and where it has been. It's lifted out of Raleigh and moved through Rocky Mount earlier. We had a confirmed tornado, at least on the warning criteria of it, as it moved through just north of Rocky Mount. That warning has since been allowed to expire, and currently there are no active tornado warnings along or to the east of I-95, but you see dual severe thunderstorm warnings with the tag of tornado possible along this entire line. That is inching farther to the east here. Now it does include areas like Ahoskie, Hertford, down into Southampton and Virginia, Northampton and North Carolina, and even getting some of that rain over in Isle of Wight, Surrey, and western portions of Suffolk over the next couple of hours here. So we're going to see the rain increase. The severe weather threat is present for the next couple of hours here. I want to show you again what it looks like on our Futurecast modeling. Pretty good indication of where things are at this time and where they may be going. By 5 o'clock, we could be looking at a few cells that are suspiciously spinning around 5 o'clock this evening, so right in the heart of the evening commute. So if you are tuning into this stream on our streaming platforms on 13 News Now Plus, at work right now to kind of plan out your Friday evening, and you do have a ride home that includes going on the area's interstates, you already know you got to deal with that traffic every day, and especially being on a Friday, but it may be complicated a bit by some of these severe thunderstorms or even tornadic thunderstorms that lift through. Good news is that if you have Friday evening plans, Friday night football, that may be iffy. Friday night football games may be iffy in some spots, but plans to go out to dinner. Later on this evening, things are looking a little bit better. Here we are at 9 o'clock on Futurecast, and it shows most of the activity has lifted on off. Let's go back, Hunter. I want to have more of an in-depth conversation about Helene in general, right? Because that has been the big headline here over the last couple of days. It made landfall not even 24 hours ago, but look at the ground it has covered. Talk a little bit about that forward movement and how that helped kind of transport that huge wind field. And I think now there's like 4 million folks without power. It is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Even just like in one state alone, there's over 1 million people without power. In South Carolina, I believe there was 1.3 million people in that state without power. And again, Debbie was moving so quickly, which in retrospect, in one area, it's good news for where it made landfall because it wasn't able to drop, a significant amount of water in the area. But again, since it's moving so quickly, it's able to keep the higher winds further north. So as it made landfall as a Category 4 with winds of 140 miles per hour, it was still able to have those hurricane force winds all the way up into southern Georgia, even central Georgia. And that's why you saw those hurricane warnings expand so far from the Panhandle and Big Bend of Florida all the way up into central Georgia, just to the south of Atlanta. And you even had tropical storm warnings expand from Miami all the way up into Asheville, North Carolina, where Asheville, North Carolina normally never sees a tropical storm warning. And the wind field with this hurricane, with Helene, was ginormous. Tropical storm force winds expanded over 400 miles, which really encapsulated the entire peninsula of Florida, which is why, even though it was 120 miles, or the eye was 120 miles off the west coast of Florida, this entire peninsula was able to get in on those tropical storm force winds. And even the hurricane force winds expanded about 60 to even 70 miles. So that's also created more damage, more power outages, and even that quick forward motion allowed those strong winds to continue to push up into southern Georgia and even eventually getting into northern Georgia and portions of western South Carolina and western North Carolina, where again, that brought a significant amount of rainfall. So once it became a tropical depression and the winds kind of went down a bit, it still brought a significant amount of rainfall, and it's eventually going to slow down over areas of Kentucky and Tennessee and kind of stall out, where again, it could still continue to bring that potential of some serious flooding over there.
Yeah, Hunter, I want to break in here and let you know that we do have a tornado warning that was just issued. This is in for Northampton in North Carolina. We had talked about the potential, that severe thunderstorm warning that was up with a tornado possible tag on it. Well, that possible tornado is now reality, potentially. It is a warning and radar indicated. This is up until 3 o'clock, and you see it highlighted there with that polygon. We can kind of show you where that look at that. That is a very impressive signature there in central Northampton. This is pretty much right over Boone's Crossroads and heading towards Creeksville. You can see that the differing colors there. The brighter yellows is going to be winds that are blowing away from the radar site in Wakefield, and the greens are winds that are blowing towards. So when we see that couplet, it kind of pinches off the wind field, and it's trying to consolidate and potentially put down a tornado in this area right here. So let me look at the actual text from the Weather Service and see how quickly this is moving and what they expect of it. So northeastern Northampton County and northeastern North Carolina at 2:33, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Rich Square, moving northeast at 20. So this is radar indicated rotation, not radar indicated tornado at this time. So it's moving off to the northeast at 20. Let's put a track on it here, and right where that couplet may be. And there you go. Faison's around 253 and Luter's Crossroad at around 310. Hey guys, you got something to tell me? Sure. Sure, and everybody joining our stream right now, I do want to let you know we're going to pause briefly and we're going to jump over to do dual streaming, as well as being on air to talk about this tornado warning that is now currently impacting our far western zones here in northeastern North Carolina and just outside the 13 News Now viewing area. So pause briefly and we'll join you back in a second. Go ahead, Josh. Hey folks, Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages here. I want to give you an update on our Weather Alert Day coverage. We do have our first tornado warning that has moved into our far western areas of our 13 News Now viewing area. This is going to be in Northampton County here. You can see it here. We've got the tornado warning that's up until 3 o'clock here. Now, this is a radar indicated tornado warning. You can see it is nestled in a severe thunderstorm warning that, if you look closely, it's got a red boundary along it. And that was the tag from the Weather Service saying a tornado is certainly possible within this. We are looking at the outermost bands of Helene. We have the spin, the wind shear present, so it's much easier to get a tornado. And there and behold, we do have the potential of one being there. It's a tornado warning at this time. And I will tell you, it's a pretty impressive signature here on our velocity tool on live radar coming out of Wakefield. Now, what you're looking at is dueling wind fields, okay? You've got winds that are rushing towards the radar site in Wakefield, and that's going to be towards it is going to be the green, and the brighter yellows and reds is all wind directed away from the radar site. When we see those colors close together like that, pinching on off, becoming more consolidated, that's an indication that not only is the cell that's capable of producing a tornado is rotating, but it may be putting down a funnel cloud and maybe even a tornado as well. Now, it is moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. So let's put a storm track on it for you now, right near this area here, potentially moving on into Southampton in Virginia in the short term if it does hold together. Something else I do want to reiterate here is that as we saw when Evan and I were covering Debbie, is we see these warnings pop up, and the tornadoes tend to cycle. So they'll put down a tornado, they'll lift back up, the signature will disappear, but the same cell will then again produce further downstream. So that's what we're going to have to watch here. But here's a track on this. Hugo around 3:14, Margarettsville 3:07, and Galatia around 3 o'clock. So keep that in mind there. That's the one tornado warning we're watching. Now elsewhere, we've just got some heavy rain and a very large severe thunderstorm warning that's well to the southwest of Wakefield, just west of Franklin, and it does encompass Hosky right now for that tornado possible tag on that severe thunderstorm warning. But for this time, we're just tracking this one tornado warning that is currently up for Northampton and North Carolina until 3 o'clock. This is radar indicated, moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. Radar indicated the possibility there around 8 miles just to the northwest of Rich Square. So you see Rich Square on the bottom of your screen there. Now that tornado, possible tornado, is well to your north near Lasker. And this whole line is moving relatively quickly. So we're going to see this possibly approach the Virginia state line within the next 25 to 30 minutes or so. That would put it in line with the expanse of the coverage of the tornado warning that goes until 3 o'clock. And you saw the most recent update there. That's refreshing quite quickly. So there's the signature. We're getting refreshing updates on that, every couple minutes. And the latest there does show the couplet a little more broad, which is good. But as I mentioned, it could be cycling. So there's another update. We're kind of seeing the wind trail that would be heading towards the Wakefield radar site weakening just a little bit, but certainly still the damaging wind gust potential. In fact, some of these winds, radar indicated, could be around 55 to 60 miles per hour, and that is the threshold or the criteria for damaging wind gusts. So regardless of a tornado or not, we are looking at a damaging wind gust threat in this cell that is currently tornado warned by the National Weather Service. Also look at the other polygon that's up, the green polygon. That is a flash flood warning or flash flood or flood warning in general for the heavy rainfall. We are seeing some rainfall totals here, or rainfall rates of an inch, inch and a half. Again, we're talking about the outermost bands of a decaying tropical system. We have a tropical air mass in place. If you've stepped outside, dew points are very, very high, and that is helping our precipitable water values. We've talked about that several storms ago, but there's just a lot of available moisture for these storms to kind of squeeze out and bring in the form of some heavy tropical downpours there. So if you're just joining us on air right now, we're also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. So once we go off air, if you want to continue to join our coverage, you can find it there, also on YouTube and all of our streaming platforms. But we are breaking into on air to let you know about our tornado warning, our first of the evening. We do expect a few more as our threat is up for the next couple of hours. In fact, speaking of that threat, there is an active tornado watch that you've seen scrolling on the bottom of your screen all afternoon. It was initiated earlier this morning, and it is currently active until 6 o'clock this evening. It does not encompass everywhere, though. It does leave out areas like Gloucester, Matthews, and the Eastern Shore, as the threat is much more pronounced farther to the south and west, closer you get to the I-95 corridor, which is where we currently have our threatening group of cells, our cluster, our squall line of severe thunderstorms capable of producing a tornado. I want to give you one more look at this tornado warning in Northampton before we jump back over to streaming and send you back to programming on air. This here is our couplet that we're watching, which last couple of runs here does show it probably cycling and weakening just a little bit, but this would be the area near Faisans, near Seaboard, that would have not only the damaging wind gusts that we're seeing here, some of these radar indicated gusts could be 55 miles per hour or greater, but it may be consolidating into a spin, and the potential is certainly there for a tornado. So that is up until 3 o'clock. We'll watch it, and as it progresses towards the state line, but we'll send you back over to programming on 13 News Now, and you can join us for continuing coverage on our streaming platforms, 13 News Now Plus, and also on YouTube. All right, thanks for sticking around. We are back on 13 News Now Plus, streaming live warnings currently with the outermost bands of Helene pushing on through our far western zones. Here's a look at live radar and one active tornado warning at this time that is up at Northampton County until 3 o'clock. And this is a radar indicated spin in the atmosphere, a couplet that we've been watching kind of develop over the last half an hour or so. And that's the thing is Hunter Forrest, who's going to join me in a second, have been talking about throughout the duration of this stream was how quickly these spin-up tornadoes may develop and then completely dissolve and disappear. So that's what we're watching with this particular couplet that's south of Seaboard. Now, you see the brighter colors that is south of Seaboard, just to the west of Faisans and northwest of Creeksville. And there's an update for you there. It's kind of getting more dispersed and getting dissipating a little bit. The wind field is dissipating, which is some good news. But regardless, let's look at some of the wind speeds potentially here. Now we're looking at 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. So just a little bit, excuse me, below the threshold for damaging winds. But regardless, you know, we've got heavy rain coming on through there. Ground is pretty saturated, so that could cause some power outages. Elsewhere, just to the south here, we've got another couplet trying to pinch off here south of Rich Square, well south of Lasker, and just to the east of Spring Hill. Now, keep in mind, this is outside of the 13 News Now viewing area. So we're tracking these because they are forecast to build into our area over the next hour or so, next couple of hours, because you can see the trend here. We put it back over the radar, and you can see where they've been moving. Here's the loop. You can see a slow eastward trajectory, but it's really a south to north lift, which is why a lot of flash flood warnings have been initiated off to the west there. And I want to bring in meteorologist Hunter Force now. Hunter, we've been watching these cells developing and progressing through central North Carolina. Several tornado warnings with them to be expected with a decaying tropical system. What are your thoughts on this as it pushes closer to the coast of it maintaining its threat?
I would say that threat has to continue as we head later into the afternoon and evening hours. I mean, we have continually been seeing this line of storms produce these tornado warnings for the last couple of hours, and the atmosphere still has some of those capabilities to produce these quick, super quick spin-up tornadoes. Even earlier since this morning, down in Myrtle Beach at 7 o'clock this morning, they were issuing tornado warnings, and ever since then, these lines of storms that have been inching closer and closer and closer to eastern North Carolina and the Hampton Roads area, every line has been able to at least produce a tornado warning, not necessarily putting a tornado on the ground, which is good news. But again, these tornadoes or these tornado warnings can spin up super, super quickly. And if you were watching just a couple of minutes ago on the reflectivity and on the velocity, you could see the green couplet and the red couplet were fairly tight, which is indicating that there was some quick or some strong rotation in that tornado warning. But again, a minute or 2 minutes later, you saw that the area of rotation was getting even a bit more broad. So you could see that how quickly these tornadoes can spin up, how the rotation can quickly come about, spin up a tornado, and then 2 minutes later, that rotation is gone. And that's what we have been seeing throughout the day today, and that's normally exactly what you kind of expect in these outer rain bands of a decaying tropical system. And even though Debbie now is a tropical depression, that still doesn't mean it's not going to have the capabilities to produce these types of quick spin-up tornadoes in the atmosphere and in our area. Even though Debbie, the center of the storm, is well into western North Carolina and portions of Tennessee, still we have the atmosphere in our area that is able to have these quick spin-up tornadoes.
Yeah, Hunter, I want to go back over to Max 1 and show you the latest velocity signature update. So we're getting sweeping updates from this pretty quickly, or pretty frequently, I should say. So you can see the active tornado warning, the polygon there, that is highlighted until 3 o'clock. So it's active for another 12 minutes. But this is the area here that was the spin, was the couplet. And we're kind of seeing that get a little washed out. And it's now located in the far northwestern part of this tornado warning at this time. So closer to Seaboard, there's Faisans, there's Creeksville. So on the far northwestern portion of this tornado warning polygon, lifting towards 136 there. And we should get another update on this coming up any second. But it's not really showing a tight couplet anymore. That leads me to believe that they will either cancel this tornado warning before it's allowed to expire at 3 o'clock, because I think that the possibility of a tornado has really dropped within this cell. However, let's go off to the south. Let's look at this cell down here near, there we go. They just canceled that tornado warning that was up earlier in Northampton. So that's good. Right now, no active tornado warnings anymore. Good. good news. Here's another one near Rich Square. This is a couplet that, again, maybe in the beginning stages of starting to pinch off. We've got some brighter signatures of winds moving away from the radar site in Wakefield, paired with the green shadings. That's wind heading towards. So that may be one to watch near Rich Square in southern Northampton County in North Carolina. Elsewhere, let's go back over to radar and show you that it's still pretty active out there, and we still have a dominant severe thunderstorm warning that is up for a good chunk of, or far southwestern, I should say, Southampton in Virginia, most all of Northampton and North Carolina. And as we get over into Hertford County and Bertie, also encompassing portions of those counties in North Carolina. And it does have that red outline on there that does indicate the possibility of a tornado, as we do have the spin that's overall present in this outermost band of what is now Tropical Depression Helene. Let's go back over and talk about the progression of Helene before we revisit radar, and we'll get Hunter over there to do some live tracking for us on what's going on locally. But here's the present advisory, a 2 o'clock advisory coming down, 50 minutes old, did downgrade Helene to a tropical depression, meaning winds are now south of 39 miles per hour, which would be a tropical storm. We're at 35, but still, because it is moving so fast, 28 miles per hour, we're still getting those gusts that are double the sustained winds of 70 miles per hour at this time. Again, go back 18 hours, it was making landfall. Big Bend is a Cat 4, 140 mile per hour winds. Now it is just a 35 mile per hour tropical depression. Does not mean the threats are over. There's about 4 million folks now without power across the Southeast, and that is a huge number. Huge number. There's over 1 million customers in Florida, over 1 million in Georgia, 1 million in South Carolina. So, and then we got ongoing flooding in those areas as well. So we thankfully here locally have been spared the brunt of the strongest winds, the brunt of the heaviest rain. We're not looking at a big-time flood event for us, a big-time wind event. What we are dealing with is the potential for tornadoes. Okay, the outermost bands here, we have the wind shear that's present. And we talked about this earlier, but I want to bring it up for anybody that's just joining us now on why, the reasoning behind why we look at these outer bands for the threat for tornadoes after a tropical system has made landfall. Okay, so the strongest of the winds were with Helene right before landfall, right? It was over the open waters, 140 mile per hour winds. The frictional component over water is much less than it is over land. So the winds are stronger over open water. Once those winds interact with land, the friction goes up. And immediately at that time, at the surface, the wind speeds slow down because of that friction. As it moves farther inland, surface winds come down, but upper level winds stay very, very strong. And that change in wind speed and direction with height is the definition of wind shear. So that is typically highest on the eastern side of a landfalling system, which we currently are located, and even more to the northeast of the center, the northeast quadrant. And we are also located in that as well. And that's why this outermost band is probably going to be the most active here over the next 5 or 6 hours. That prompts our tornado threat in our local area. So here's live radar right now. One thing I want to bring to your attention before I toss it over to Hunter Forrest is the low amount of lightning strikes, right? Only 15 lightning strikes in the last 10 minutes. We've got severe warnings out there. Why is there not more lightning? Well, a lot of these are shallow-based convective storms. They're not particularly strong in and of the sense that they're going to produce hail or very frequent lightning. What they are producing is very heavy rainfall because we have such a moisture-rich environment overhead. But we also have the component, as I just mentioned, the wind shear, that helps these cells that by themselves would not be particularly strong to rotate and then potentially put down a tornado. So that's what we're concerned with there. I want to send it over to meteorologist Hunter Forrest. Hunter, we're watching this ongoing severe thunderstorm threat and eventual tornado threat as well. But right now, thankfully, we're not seeing any active tornado warnings in our area. We just came out of one that was canceled before it was allowed to expire, which is a good sign, by the way, in Northampton and North Carolina. But for now, a little quieter.
Right now, a little quieter, which is great news, exactly what we like to hear for our Friday night. But again, I just wanted to point out this severe thunderstorm warning that we've been talking about for the entire stream, really. Again, you can see that the severe thunderstorm warning is outlined in this red, which again means that a tornado is possible. A tornado could spin up really at any moment. Now, this severe thunderstorm warning extends 130 miles. Now, that is a very long, severe thunderstorm warning in a large swath of area that has the potential to see a severe thunderstorm warning, anywhere from Emporia over towards Franklin, down towards Ahoskie, all the way down to New Bern, has the possibility to see a quick spin-up tornado in this line. Now, again, we're seeing some lighter showers, though, which is some good news up towards, Williamsburg, Wakefield, Petersburg, up towards Richmond. You're not seeing a lot of lightning. You're not seeing you're not seeing the severe thunderstorm warning extend up into this area, which is some good news. You're just seeing some lighter, even some moderate rain over towards the peninsula as you look more over towards the eastern shore. Good news is you guys are dry right now. But again, this line of storms is inching its way towards the Hampton Roads area, towards downtown Norfolk. We're about to get in on some heavier showers going throughout the next couple, at least within the next hour or so. And as we go down more towards Franklin, Como, Ahoskie, you're still in that severe thunderstorm warning that has the potential to produce a quick spin-up tornado. And again, just because there are no tornado warnings now doesn't mean one won't be issued in the next minute or 2 minutes. Even though we were looking at some of the velocities, and there aren't a lot of couplets right now that may have that chance to produce those quick spin-up tornadoes. But again, in 10 minutes or so, that could be completely different. And that's what we've been saying about these types of outer bands. It's so hard to predict when, where, or exactly for how long these tornadoes are going to last for. Luckily, they don't normally happen very quickly. They're down on the ground for 2 minutes, then they're back up. But again, then they could travel, 10, 15 miles and drop another quick, smaller tornado. So even though if you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag, even if you're out towards Franklin, you're out towards Elizabeth City, Edenton, this could still get extended towards your area, and you still have to be prepared for the possibility that a warning could be issued in your area.
Yeah, and Hunter, you talked about how in the short term, we're going to be experiencing that here in the downtown Norfolk area as this line slowly progresses to the east. I want to share with you what the modeling looks like as we get towards 5 o'clock this evening. So prime time evening commute on a Friday evening. It will be complicated by some heavy downpours out there. And if we see that squall line that's just to our west hold together, there could also be a tornadic threat or even gusty wind threat as well. So here's how it looks at 5 o'clock. Here's how it looks presently. We've got a very large severe thunderstorm warning, as Hunter was talking about, and it does have the tag on it that there is the potential for a tornado within this. Let's look and see if there's any suspicious couplets that would prompt a tornado warning in the short term. So in Northampton, far eastern Northampton in North Carolina, I want to draw your attention to these couplets that look like they may be in the beginning stages of trying to do something a little bit, trying to act up a little bit here near Severn and north of Conway. This one here north of 158 to the west of Murfreesboro. And then this other cluster here of some gustier winds near the Woodland area north of Rich Square. Now, these are all lifting off to the north. So the north and northeast. And there's an update on it. So you see that area that I was just watching here north of Conway. That might be one that we need to watch as it heads towards the Virginia state line here, just to the north there, south of Boykin. So that one could have some gusty winds in it. In fact, let's look at the gusty winds. What the radar indicates wind speeds could be right now, 40 miles per hour, so 40 to 30 miles per hour. So we're not seeing the gusts to 60 like we had earlier. So that's a good thing. Bigger picture, there's Tropical Depression Helene. We've got an active tornado watch in our area, and we'll watch for this line to slowly come through our area over the next few hours. Notice out ahead of it to the east, some widespread light to moderate rain. So that will be a precursor of any severe threat that develops in the next couple of hours. Myself and meteorologist Hunter Forrest will be here all evening long. Coming up in an hour, we'll be on 13 News Now on air for 13 News Now at 4, and then we'll continue with our evening newscast then as well. On behalf of myself and meteorologist Hunter Forrest, thank you for joining us on our streaming platforms. We hope this has been helpful, help you stay ahead of the storm threat coming our way. And if necessary, we'll join you again on streaming platforms, but we hope you can join us on air coming up in about 60 minutes.
watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com.
You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13newsnow.com. 13newsnow.com. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus. And our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. Woo!
watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com. You're watching Live Radar on 13 News Now, Radar Plus. For the latest up-to-the-minute weather, tune your TV to 13 News Now. Also streaming on 13 News Now Plus and our 13 News Now digital app on your smartphone, as well as our website, 13newsnow.com.